right, wrestling fans, welcome back. It's time for another deep dive.
Ooh.
And today, we're going to be looking at WWE.
Ooh.
We got some really interesting articles here from the Times of India, Sportskeeda Wrestlings, and WrestleZone.
Sounds juicy.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. We're talking potential career shifts,
Yeah.
some kind of scary situations, and then a wave of releases that has got everybody talking.
Yeah, and what's interesting to me is how these stories all seem separate, but they could actually all be connected, you know, giving us like a little peek behind the curtain of what's going on at WWE and where things might be headed.
Okay, so let's unpack all of this, starting with Samantha Irvin.
Oh, yeah, Samantha Irvin.
Now, everyone knows her as that amazing voice in the ring, you know, introducing all of our favorite superstars.
Right.
But the Times of India is reporting that she's got her eyes set on a whole new role.
Really?
Yeah, in-ring competitor.
Wow.
She even said, I got to finish my story,
Yeah.
which to me hints that there's something more here than just her wanting to try something new. So is this just Samantha expressing a personal goal? Or is it something more? Is this a strategic move by WWE?
You know, it's interesting because we have seen announcers successfully transition into wrestlers before.
Yeah, that's true.
Like Mike Adamlar or even going way back Jesse the Body Ventura.
Oh, yeah.
It happens. And when it does, it can really inject some fresh energy and new storylines into the mix.
Yeah.
Especially for the women's division, I think could really use some fresh matchups right now.
Absolutely. And I'm already picturing her entrance music. I mean, she's got the charisma, she's got that stage presence. And with her background in music and acting, she could really create a unique persona.
Totally.
Like imagine a rock star gimmick playing off her singing talents. Or maybe even like a theatrical character using her acting skills to like, you know, play mind games with her opponent.
Oh, that'd be good. Those are some great ideas. And it really highlights how WWE could really capitalize on her existing strengths. But let's not forget that transitioning to in-ring competition is no easy feat.
For sure.
It takes intense training, obviously a lot of physicality, and a whole other level of dedication.
Yeah, it's a huge commitment.
Yeah.
And speaking of the demands of this industry, let's talk about this concerning situation surrounding Asuka.
Yeah, this is where things take a bit of a darker turn, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So Sportskeeda Wrestling picked up on a discussion from the Wrestling Time Machine podcast.
Okay.
And they were talking about Asuka allegedly dealing with a stalker.
Oh, wow.
And it's been reported that she's reached out to both the police and WWE about this unsettling fan behavior.
That's heartbreaking to hear. It really highlights the darker side of fame, especially in a profession as physically demanding and public as wrestling. You know, fan enthusiasm is fantastic, but it needs to stay within respectful boundaries.
Absolutely. You know, it's a stark reminder that these are real people with lives beyond the ring.
Right.
And their personal safety should never be compromised. You know, this situation raises questions about what measures WWE has in place to protect their talent from harassment and what more they could be doing, you know? They have a responsibility to ensure that fans understand boundaries and that the performers feel safe and supported.
It's a complex issue with no easy answers.
Right.
But the well-being of the talent should always be paramount.
Agreed.
Now, shifting gears a bit, WrestleZone reported on a recent wave of WWE releases, including Blair Davenport, who had a really promising independent career. But she hasn't been given many opportunities on the main roster since her call-up.
Yeah, and she's not alone.
No.
Sonya Deville. The authors of Payne Paul Ellering, Cedric Alexander, and Duke Hudson were all let go.
Wow.
Releases are a recurring part of the wrestling business, you know, often driven by budget constraints or creative shifts. But they always raise questions about WWE's roster management and talent development strategies.
It does make you wonder if they're clearing the deck for new talent, like potentially making space for Samantha Irvin's in-ring debut.
Could be.
Or maybe it's about pushing a particular style or narrative.
Yeah.
I mean, we know WWE is constantly evolving,
Right.
trying to capture the audience's attention.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, you have to ask, are they phasing out a certain type of wrestler or storyline?
Right.
Are they prioritizing homegrown talent from NXT over established indie stars? It's certainly a gamble.
It is.
Yeah.
And that gamble could pay off, creating opportunities for fresh storylines and new stars.
Yeah.
But it also risks alienating fans who are invested in the released talent.
Exactly. There's a lot at stake.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how these releases impact the landscape of WWE moving forward.
That's a lot to process, right?
It is.
So before we dive into what these releases could mean for WWE's future, I want to hear what stands out to you most in all of this.
Okay.
What's got you intrigued?
Honestly, for me, it's the contrast between individual aspirations, like Samantha Irvin's desire to evolve her role, and the sometimes harsh realities of the wrestling industry. Like the releases and Asuka's situation, it just reminds us that the wrestling world is full of unexpected twists and turns, both positive and negative.
Oh, absolutely. And that unpredictable nature is what keeps us fans on the edge of our seats.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
100%. But we also have to acknowledge that this is a business.
Yeah.
And sometimes those twists and turns have real-world consequences for the individuals involved. These releases, while they're tough for the talent involved, could signal a strategic shift in WWE's approach.
Oh.
Think of it like a chef, adjusting ingredients to perfect a recipe.
I like that analogy.
Right.
So you're saying these releases could be about more than just budget cuts?
Exactly. It could be about creating space for new narratives, new matchups, new energy.
Yep.
If WWE wants to push Samantha Irvin as a wrestler, for example,
Right.
they need to create space for her on the roster.
Yeah.
And that means not just a spot on the roster list, but opportunities to build her character, engage in compelling storylines, and connect with the audience.
Right. It's about more than just having a name on the list.
Exactly.
It's about giving her those opportunities to shine.
Yeah.
And speaking of shining, remember Blair Davenport?
Oh, yeah.
WrestleZone highlighted how she had all this indie success, but was barely given a chance on the main roster. Maybe this shakeup is about ensuring that new talent gets the opportunity to truly break through and connect with the audience.
Seth, that's a valid point. WWE has a history of bringing in big names from the independent scene. But sometimes those wrestlers get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
These releases could be a sign that they're reevaluating their talent development strategy, potentially focusing on building stars from within their own developmental system, NXT.
Which would make sense from a business perspective.
Right.
Developing your own talent is a long-term investment, but could ultimately be more cost-effective and give them more control over the direction of those wrestlers' careers.
Exactly. And let's not forget, WWE is constantly innovating and adapting to the changing landscape of entertainment. These releases could be part of a larger strategy to refresh the product, attract new viewers, and appeal to different demographics.
Okay, but let's play devil's advocate for a moment.
Okay.
I get that change can be exciting and create new opportunities.
Right.
But wouldn't fans feel cheated if established stars are just replaced without satisfying storylines or proper send-offs?
That's a risk they have to consider, absolutely. WWE has to strike a balance between keeping things fresh and honoring the investment fans have made in their favorite superstars.
Right.
Alienating a large portion of your audience is never a good business strategy.
No, it's like walking a tightrope,
Yep.
trying to appease longtime fans while also appealing to new viewers.
For sure.
But maybe, just maybe, these releases are the catalyst for something truly special. Perhaps this is the start of a new era in WWE, one that embraces fresh talent, diverse storylines, and a renewed focus on character development.
No, that's an intriguing thought. It's like turning the page on a new chapter in a book.
Yeah.
You never know what twists and turns await, but that's what keeps things exciting.
Exactly.
And for WWE, this could be a chance to address some long-standing criticisms, like the lack of depth in certain divisions or the over-reliance on predictable storylines.
Right. It's a chance to take risks, experiment with new ideas, and potentially rediscover what made wrestling so captivating in the first place.
Totally agree.
But that raises a crucial question.
Yeah.
Will these changes ultimately benefit WWE and its fans? Or will the loss of familiar faces leave a void that's hard to fill?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a gamble, for sure, but one that could potentially revitalize the entire industry.
It's like a wrestling match itself.
Oh, yeah.
Full of heroes and villains, high-stakes maneuvers, and moments of triumph and defeat. You never know who's going to come out on top or what surprises await.
And that unpredictable nature is part of the allure, right?
Yeah.
It keeps us guessing, keeps us engaged, and keeps us coming back for more.
So what does all this mean for you, dear listener? What are your thoughts on these recent events in WWE? Do you see these releases as a positive step towards a brighter future? Or do you feel a sense of loss for the superstars who are no longer part of the show?
It's a complex issue with no easy answers. There are valid points to be made on both sides of the argument.
Exactly, and that's what makes it so interesting to discuss.
Right.
The wrestling world is full of passionate fans, each with their own unique perspective on what makes this form of entertainment so captivating. We want to hear from you. What resonates with you most in all of this? Share your thoughts, your theories, your hopes, and your fears. Let's keep this conversation going.
Absolutely. We'll delve deeper into the implications of these events and explore what they might mean for WWE's future. For example, with Asuka's situation.
Yeah.
We have to consider how WWE can better protect its talent from harassment.
Right.
It's not just about implementing policies, it's about fostering a culture of respect and creating a safe environment for everyone involved.
Absolutely.
And when it comes to release it, are these just isolated incidents? Or do they point to a larger shift in WWE's approach to talent acquisition and development? Are they moving away from relying on established indie stars and putting more emphasis on cultivating homegrown talent?
These are important questions to consider.
Yeah.
And let's not forget the potential impact on the various divisions within WWE. Could these releases create opportunities for new stars to rise in the ranks? Could we see a shakeup in the championship scene?
Ooh, good point.
It's all very intriguing. And with Samantha Irvin expressing her desire to step into the ring,
Right.
it adds another layer of complexity to this ever-evolving landscape.
Mm.
Could her potential debut coincide with a major shift in WWE's direction?
It's certainly a possibility. Remember, timing is everything in the world of professional wrestling.
And WWE is known for its dramatic twists and turns. So before we wrap things up, we want to leave you with a final thought-provoking question. If you were in charge of WWE, what would you do to navigate these choppy waters?
Good question.
Would you embrace a complete overhaul, bringing in a wave of new talent and storylines? Or would you focus on refining existing narratives and giving current superstars more opportunities to shine?
That's a tough one.
It's a tough job, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also an incredible opportunity to shape the future of this iconic form of entertainment. So put on your creative hats and let your imagination run wild. What would your vision for the future of WWE look like?
Man, I can't wait to hear your thoughts.
You know, it's funny. We were just talking about all these changes happening in WWE.
Right.
And it made me think about Samantha Irvin again.
Yeah.
She's such a perfect example of how individual ambition can kind of intersect with these bigger shifts that are happening right now.
Totally. It's almost like she's seizing the moment,
Yeah.
seeing this wave of releases as an opportunity to like make her own dreams a reality.
And that takes guts, you know, to
Ambition.
step out of your comfort zone and into the unknown.
Absolutely.
It really speaks to her passion for wrestling and her willingness to take on new challenges.
It does.
Makes you wonder if there are other, you know, behind-the-scenes folks in WWE who are harboring similar aspirations.
Oh, yeah.
Like maybe a referee with a secret finishing move they've been practicing,
Uh-huh.
or a producer who's been secretly writing promos in their spare time.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Can you imagine, like, a storyline where a referee just suddenly snaps
Oh, my God.
and reveals that they've been training in secret to become a wrestler?
Cold.
The crowd would go wild.
Oh, yeah.
But on a serious note, it does make you think about the untapped potential within WWE's ranks.
Exactly. The possibilities are endless. And that's what makes WWE so captivating. You never know where the next breakout star will come from.
Speaking of stars, we can't forget about Asuka and the situation that she's been dealing with.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
It raises some really important questions about fan behavior and the responsibility of both the fans and WWE itself to ensure the safety and well-being of its performers.
Absolutely. It's a delicate balance.
Yeah.
Fan enthusiasm is the lifeblood of wrestling. But it needs to be tempered with respect and boundaries.
Exactly.
WWE has a duty to protect its talent from harassment,
Yes.
both online and in person.
It's not just about implementing policies.
Right.
It's about fostering a culture of respect.
Yeah.
You know, fans need to understand that wrestlers are real people with lives outside of the ring,
Yeah,
and that their actions can have real-world consequences.
100%.
And WWE needs to be proactive in supporting its talent and taking appropriate action against those who cross the line.
Couldn't agree more.
It's about creating a safe and healthy environment for everyone.
Yep.
Ultimately, the wrestling world is a microcosm of society itself.
That's a good way to put it.
We see ambition, competition drama,
Yep.
even elements of social commentary playing out in the ring.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And just like in real life, there are gray areas, difficult decisions, and no easy answers.
I think that's why we love it so much.
Yeah.
It's messy. It's unpredictable. But that's what makes it so fascinating to follow, right? It's a constantly evolving narrative, full of twists and turns and unexpected outcomes.
It keeps us guessing,
Always.
keeps us engaged,
Yeah,
and keeps us coming back for more.
exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of WWE, we encourage you to continue exploring these topics, forming your own opinions, and engaging in respectful discussions with fellow wrestling fans.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Remember, the wrestling world is a vibrant community full of diverse perspectives and passionate voices. And just like in the ring,
Anything can happen.
new stars will rise, old rivalries will reignite, and the drama will continue to unfold in ways we can't even imagine.
So true.
So stay tuned, dear listener, and enjoy the wild ride that is professional wrestling.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.